what's unfortunate is this pile coming from the front of the property by the road is pretty full of trash. Not only my geotextile fabric, but you know, somebody's chair cushion, can. I already dug a broken beer bottle out of it, so it's not the cleanest stuff, but we'll put it back here on the pile. We'll get it broke down, what will break down, and we'll eventually spread it around the property. The weather can't decide what it's doing today. It's moving quickly because that's to our north right now, and that was just to our east when we started pulling through the pastures. So it seems like it's all going around us, which is good, even though I need rain, because as you can see, I'm trying to grow stuff out here for these animals to eat. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're working on these piles. There used to be like 6 other piles of dirt that you've seen in other videos, and what that was, when I cleared this property, this was all pine slash, kind of like you see like back over here. Exactly. But as we were clearing the trees, we were encountering a bunch of like root systems off of like bushes and vines. A lot of vines were in here. So what I ended up doing was using the grapple on my skid steer like a rake, root rake, and just driving around and pushing all of those roots and that mess of stuff up onto these piles. And I think in total around the property there were probably like between 13 and 15 of these piles. And the past 2 days we knocked out about 6 of them, and we're working on the last one in this kind of area right here. Pretty much this is where my house will eventually be. And then up here is the driveway, the entry to the property. And then this is my pole barn. So the house is gonna sit right in this general area, and I wanted to get these piles out of here. Additionally, when you pull in the property, there was a pile like right there, right here, 2 piles like right here. So when you pull into the property with the trailer, you've got to negotiate all these mounds of dirt. Then they got like weeds growing up on them and stuff, and it just didn't look that appealing. So I wanted to get them to the back of the property, which is what I've been talking about for probably almost a year since I assembled these piles. We got a big old mound of dirt back there, which is eventually going to be some really good topsoil, and I don't really have a good plan for it yet. When the house ends up here, I'll probably bring some of it back up when the house is done, and then fill in around the house with some real nice black topsoil. But we're gonna end up with a ton. Not a ton, like hundreds of tons. We got dirt mounds all in the pastures out here. The sheep love them because they grow big old weeds, and they'll just clear them off. Every time I rotate them into a pasture, first thing that gets cleared is the mounds of dirt, as you can see over here. So they enjoy them, but they don't necessarily look that nice. We're not gonna get them all taken care of today. In fact, we're working on the last one we're gonna get done today, which is this one right here. We'll probably have, hopefully, 1 more trailer load. It might be 2 trailer loads. Yeah, it's probably 2 trailer loads. We started using we were loading the trailer with the Thomas T175, but we ended up blowing a hydraulic drive line, which you can see I got it wrapped, the fitting wrapped up there on the motor. This is a 2005 model, so although it has like just over 1,000 hours on it, you know, hoses, belts, stuff like that, they don't age that well. So we're gonna have to get that hose replaced. I'm gonna hit up a local shop. I bought a big press to do my own hoses, but I'm not set up to do 3/4 inch hose, and when I was trying to do a hose on the Sani, I ended up buying probably over $100 worth of fittings to try and figure out what the fitting was, and I think in the end I just ordered the hose from Sani for like 60 bucks. So now we're using this excavator to move dirt. a bit of a problem here. Finally, I've torn it up enough that we're not going to be able to do this anymore today until it dries out. We're hauling some big old loads way over the capacity of this trailer, but we're just moving through the pasture nice and slow. So the trick is you don't load the front, you load it in the middle of the box and then a little bit extra to the rear so that you can use that weight with the leverage to raise the box with the hydraulic. So one thing, everybody with a winch or a dump trailer, like a winch on their trailer, any trailer that has a battery in it other than for brakes, this is something you need to look into. A couple Anderson plugs. This comes back. It's a heavy gauge wire. And it ties right into that battery. And if you run one of these, you don't really even need the battery. I leave the battery in there mostly because, like, my Jeep doesn't have Anderson plugs on it yet, which the Jeep is way underrated for this, but that hasn't stopped me from using it before. But, you know, if I end up having to pull it with a truck that doesn't have the Anderson plugs in the bumper, even the Raptor does, but if I end up pulling it with a truck that doesn't have Anderson plugs on the bumper, I still want to be able to use the dump feature on the trailer. So that's why we leave the battery in there. And we're just gonna leave this trailer right here. We didn't quite get this pile taken care of. We're out of time for today, for one, and for two, it's a muddy mess on the back side of the property over there. So we'll get back out here in a couple days. Hopefully that'll be dried up in the back of the pasture, and then we can finish up this pile. And there's no shortage of piles out here that need cleaned up. But up here by this FMTV military truck, there's like 5 piles over there, which I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 small piles and one fairly sizable pile. But the big one that we are going to have to work on is over here beyond the pole barn, behind that gooseneck trailer. Look at the size of that pile. The sheep would love to get over here to this pile, but it's not really feasible to get them over here just to eat on it and then move it. But yeah, this thing is just full of grass and weeds and probably snakes. If you look off in the distance there, you'll see how much the sheep love these piles. They'll just climb up on them, eat everything off of them, and just hang out on them. They were sleeping on it earlier. So it'll grow up and make a bunch of food for them. Then we'll cut them loose in there. We'll just turn that into its own little pasture. And they'll just keep it clean and have tons of food to eat off of that. Meanwhile, it'll be breaking down into good topsoil full of organic material. We want to get them sticks and stuff broke down in there because you can't spread dirt. See, it's like stuff like this gets caught up in your chain harrow or your box blade, whatever you're trying to, your land plane, whatever you're trying to smooth out with. It's this kind of stuff gets caught up in those implements. They're not quite sure of me yet. Oh yeah, look. I think I've got some grain. Anyway, I keep feeding them grain every now and then because they love it so much. It's a little treat, and whenever I want them to move pastures, I just throw a little bowl of grain out for them. Nothing in there. Want a snack? They don't speak English. Little diatomaceous earth. They say it helps with gastrointestinal parasites. So we're gonna try this to keep the intestinal worms out of them before we go to a wormer. I'd like to not use wormer, but I'm also not willing to impair the health of my sheep. These are my breeding stock, so they'll be around a while. If they were meat sheep, they probably wouldn't be alive long enough to worry about it. But I want to keep these sheep around, so we're going to do preventative treatment with diatomaceous earth and hope that works. What are you doing? The camera. See how bad they want it. You guys have been rolling around that ash pile, haven't you? Go home, girls. Come on. Come on. So you just got to get a couple of them moving, then the rest of them are going to want to follow. They'll feel left out. We'd set up this automatic water before the trip, was it like maybe a week or two ago? And the dang fitting that I was using, it was a cheap plastic fitting that went from 1/2 inch NPT on the pump to a 3/4 inch hose. And that thing failed on me. So we need to order a better one of those, probably in brass, not cheap, crappy plastic. And then we'll get this water back up. But meanwhile, they got the 5-gallon water, and that thing will last them several days. And you know, we don't even go that long in between coming out here and checking on the animals, so they'll be good. But that automatic water worked flawlessly while I was away. When I was out here, I think it was yesterday, I noticed that it was dripping, which is going to end up using up our battery and our water, so we'll get back to that. The plan is to get a hydrant out in where the 4 pastures come together. Get a hydrant out there, and then we'll just run, I got some white RV hose, because that black hose makes the water kind of warm from the sun. So we'll just run that white RV hose from that hydrant or the water spigot that we'll place out there. And that was going to be the project for this weekend, but with this rain, I got the culvert fixed just in time, which would be in a different video. And then we've just had rain like the rest of the weekend, so I didn't want to go digging a hole out or digging a trench out here in the rain, because it's not going to end well. So hopefully the next weekend that we don't have rain, we'll get that spigot out there, and then it'll just be fed off of the well. All right, guys, well, I'm getting wet out here, so we're going to call it a day on this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.